All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And let me just lower this a little bit. Okay, so first of all, a big thank you for all of you who have joined the course. You are, and you will always be, my legacy students, and special place in my heart, because you took that leap of faith and you decided that you're going to take your future into your own hands and control some of your destiny and make a change in your own life, which I'm humbled by that, and I am eternally grateful. I think what we have here is the genesis and the beginning of a amazing network of people. I think, inshallah, we can be powerhouses. There is so much more power in doing things as a network than as an individual. Alhamdulillah, I've been blessed by the successes that I've had, and I continue to be blessed, but I think that is multiplied by so much when I'm able to do this with other partners. Mark, you're asking where the number is posted. It's posted in the Google group, but I will read it out to you. It is area code 218-895-8822. And then there's a PIN 4021#. Okay? So again, that's 218-895-8822, and the PIN is 4021#. If somebody maybe can copy that and send that over to Mark. Let me see, where are you, Mark? Okay, I don't see you on the thread. We're in Facebook as well at the same time, but let me find you really quick and send it to you. Okay, I just PM'd it to you, Mark, so you have the number, okay? All right, so I'm gonna keep an eye, I'm gonna be multitasking here. I'm gonna keep an eye on your questions. Yeah, there you go. Somebody just typed it in Google as well, and as well as on the conference call. So, hey, assalamu alaikum. Who just joined? Is that Mark? Hey, Mark, how you doing? Okay, all right, that sounds good. Okay, so Mark is on, and so I'm going to be watching the questions, and then I'm going to be listening as well, try to multitask here. Okay, so like I was saying, guys, I am humbled, I'm grateful, and I think we are off to just an amazing opportunity when it comes to Amazon. I am getting ready to launch probably about 6 new products. There is just so much opportunity. It is crazy. I just had my meeting with my Amazon accountability team. These are all multi-million-dollar sellers that I get together with once a week. And I think it's important that you guys do that as well. As I've said before many, many times, and I'll say it again, I think it's that important. You're only going to succeed in this Amazon e-commerce or any entrepreneurial experience or business if taking action and being interactive. It's not going to happen if you're being passive, if all you do is watch the videos and take notes. Okay, you have to put yourself out there, and I see some of you are kind of stepping ahead and beginning to interact on Facebook, and that is really critical, because what you're doing is you're helping others, and you're doing research, and that's how, you know, every entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur, says that you've got to learn, is you got to get out there and take the risk and interact. Without that interaction, you're going to probably succeed, but it's going to take you 10 times longer. Okay, so now up to today, we've released, I think, 5 videos or 4 videos. The last video was this morning, and it was all about product sourcing and starting to get really concrete and very specific about how to find your product, how to evaluate the ROI and determine if it's a viable product or if it's something that you might not make any profit on. And that's very, very important. All right, so let's open this up to questions. I want to hear from you guys, and just feel free to type. Where are you at with the learning? What questions do you have from the courses that the content that I've already put out there on the courses? Where are you struggling, and just your status? Okay, I don't want to hear just about your problems. I want to hear about your successes and how you're feeling and all of that as well, because this is a holistic approach that we're taking on this trip. Okay, so on the phone, you guys can go ahead and just chat. Okay, we can just talk, and on Facebook, you guys can go ahead and type. So everybody, just type where you currently at. Are you caught up with the videos? Do you have any questions from there? And we'll just do a Q&A for about 45 minutes. Okay, I want to make sure nobody is stuck and hit a bump in the road or anything. All right. Who else joined? I heard another ping on the phone. Okay. All right. All right. Well, hey, Salam Yusuf. All right. So where are you guys at now on the phone, Mark and Yusuf? Have you caught up on the videos? Okay. 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 So let me reiterate, because not everybody can hear you. So Yusuf is asking, or Yusuf said that he. Did you say you haven't started watching the video? Oh, you've done 2 videos. Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. So Yusuf says that he has watched 2 videos, and he is in the process of establishing his S corp, and he has a question about Google Scout and another tool. So a couple of comments. S corp, that's good that you're doing that, but just understand that that's not something you need to do at this point. Like, that shouldn't, establishing an LLC or S corp or any kind of entity should not necessarily be a prerequisite for you to start selling. You could do that in parallel, because sometimes that does take time. You could do that on your personal social security number and get started. Okay, that's how I started. As far as the other tool, comparing it with Jungle Scout, yeah, Jungle Scout's not the only tool out there. You know, there are a few other tools. There's a interesting tool called Unicorn Smasher, and I've played with that a little bit. ASIN Inspector, and a few others. And choosing a tool, part of it is just a personal preference. And I'm going to say whatever tool you prefer is the tool that you should use. I use Jungle Scout. I like it. It's straightforward. It's to the point. I would say Jungle Scout is probably the most popular tool, but it's not your only tool. So if there's another tool that you prefer, you know, and it gets you the rankings and the competitive numbers, like I showed in my video, that's great. You know, just go for it. Okay, we have a few more questions coming in here. Let me go down this list. Okay, question number 1, currently at identifying, this is from Asad. So currently your status is that you're identifying, selecting a product. You feel pretty good right now, which is great. Have seen till product sourcing. Okay, so you're pretty much up to speed. My question is how to determine a winner product based on BSR reviews and competition. So I said, you just asked the million question, which is how do you select a winning product? I mean, literally, that's that's a million dollar question. So I'm going to say that that by far is the most challenging thing for all new sellers, and including me. And I've shared the story before that it took many tries before I found my first product. I would go to my mentors and say, what about this? What about this? What about this? And they would always shoot it down. So, how to find a winning product, you've got to just watch the videos. You've got to look at how much competition is there in that space. Do you have one page of competitors, or do you have 10 pages of competitors? How many reviews are there for that particular product? Do you have 5 competitors that have 1,000 reviews each on that product, or do you have a dozen competitors that only have 20 reviews each on that product? You've got to look at the price point. Is the product selling for $10, or is it selling for $30? If it's selling for $10, how much do you think you can source that product for from Alibaba? And you can see very quickly by going to Alibaba on that product some very rough estimates on what the cost. My $10 product, can you buy it for 50 cents or $1, or are you buying it at $5, right? And if you're buying it at $5, it's not a good product because you don't have enough margins in there to make money. For the $30 product, same thing. What are you sourcing it at? You've got to use the rule of thirds. Your cost should be no more than 30% of what you're going to sell it at, because you need to split your cost, your product price into 3. Your cost is 1/3, Amazon fees is about 1/3, and 1/3 is your profit margin there, because you're going to have other costs, things like photography, design, your PPC, or your paid advertising that you're going to do, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so it's there's no straightforward formula to this. You use tools like Jungle Scout, and then experience. Share it with me, and I am more than happy to privately tell you if that product that you're looking at is a good product or not. But it just takes a lot of experience. Okay. All right. Next question here and comment is from Fizza. Okay, I fluctuate between being excited and gathering new ideas to a little overwhelmed with all the things to keep track of for how to evaluate a product or product criteria for a good first private label product. Okay, Fizza, totally normal. That never really goes away. You just kind of learn to deal with that. Even at my stage and the stage of $1 million sellers, that anticipation and the nerves are still there. I have a friend of mine, she's at about 1.5 million. She's in the sports accessories business, private label, and in her, with this 1.5 million, am I making enough profit? Should I be, am I overextended with credit? Because her orders are $200,000, $300,000 each. And she's worried that, am I extending myself too far, that if an order doesn't go through or whatever, what's going to happen? She's borrowing money. So it's just the nature of business. And Fizza, I think the more that you experience, the further you get into this, it does get easier. And having that excitement level is good. And being overwhelmed is good, because that should drive you to organize and do something about it. Okay, so having a little bit of feeling a little overwhelmed is normal. Amazon is one of the, and I've said this before, one of the most amazing opportunities truly in history to make money sitting at home punching keyboards. But it is a big platform, and there's a lot to track. And believe me, everybody struggles with that. But again, after you've brought in your first product, second product, third, you begin to get a rhythm, and it does begin to get easier, and you do hopefully get a little more organized every time you do this. And interacting in the community, I keep coming back to that, is very important, because I shared a template with you guys today for the private label ROI calculator, you know what? Maybe, and I'm sure some of you can probably make a better template than me. Okay. And if you do, then share it with the team. So again, it's a team effort. And that's where you begin to lose some of the feeling of overwhelming yourself, because we're all in this together and we're going to learn from each other. Okay, Fizza has a question again, or a comment. If Amazon is among the sellers selling your product idea, is it a bad idea to private label that particular product? No. Just because Amazon is selling a product, you shouldn't necessarily shy away from it. Now, you want to try and distinguish yourself a little bit. Okay, so if Amazon's selling a garlic press, okay, everybody uses that example. So if Amazon's selling a garlic press, I wouldn't necessarily go and try to find that same garlic press and look at Alibaba margins and say, oh, I think I can make a buck. But I would try to find a garlic press that's slightly different, maybe has a little more features, or I would buy that garlic press and say, oh, well, with the garlic press, you also get this peeler. I mean, I'm just making it up, okay? So Amazon is selling the garlic press, but I'm gonna sell the garlic press plus this potato peeler or carrot peeler or whatever, universal peeler, okay? Now you're distinguishing yourself. But yeah, you can certainly compete with Amazon. I just wouldn't go head to head with this exact same product. I would try to differ it. Okay, Ali is asking, Salam, as you know, my wife and I are on this together. We're receiving our first sample this week, inshallah. We were wondering last night whether just completing a Okay. Gotcha. Okay. All right. So we're back. So let's jump back in. Sorry, guys. Looks like we have most everybody still on, which is good. I apologize for that. It's Murphy's Law, right? I usually never have these problems, but now that I'm hosting with you guys, I'm going to have these technical difficulties. But let's keep going. I'm going back to the Q&As, so let me jump right in. I want to try to get through as many of these as I can for you guys. Okay, so the next question comment is from Mahmoud. Let's see. Okay, so Mahmoud says, oops. Okay, I completed the first 3 videos and I'm searching a name for my company. Not enough inspiration yet. I will purchase Jungle Scout add-on and maybe the web application also to accelerate the process. When will we have more detail about criteria to search for? Okay, criteria to search for. Mahmoud, I'm not sure what you mean. So type in Facebook. Maybe you can extrapolate on that a little bit. What do you mean criteria to search for? If you're talking about how to select a product, I've kind of talked about that a little bit already. But if you mean something else, then just go ahead and type in Facebook and I'll be happy to elaborate more on that. Okay, Yusuf B. How wise is it to come up with a completely new product designed and manufactured? Is it worth the effort? Yeah, good question. No, there's just too much risk. Get yourself a product that's already on the market. There's millions and millions of products. You do not want to risk creating and engineering a product from scratch that you just don't know how well it's going to do. Your pros and cons over here are you take a product that's already designed and it doesn't do as well as you hoped, you can clear it. You can put it on clearance and just get rid of it. You've lost maybe a little bit of time and a little bit of money. You come up with a brand new product and you think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and this happens all the time, and for some reason it just doesn't sell. Now you've lost a lot of money. So no, I strongly suggest nobody starts with a completely brand new product that you've designed and engineered yourself. Okay, Mark, you've purchased Jungle Scout. Excellent. Okay, and then Mark has a question. What is the timeline between A, finding a viable product, and B, it going to market, or whatever the term is? Yeah, I mean, that's the term, going to market is fine. So Mark, I'm going to say the timeline can be, a lot of these questions I'm going to say it depends. And the reason being is, are you shipping it by air? Are you shipping it by sea? Are you customizing it, et cetera, et cetera? But to give you some answer on that, I'm going to say the timeline of selecting a product and bringing it to the market or launching it on Amazon could be anywhere between 30 days to 90 days. And I know that's a wide window, but again, if you're going to customize it and put your logo on it, that takes time. If it's a heavier product and you're going to ship it by sea, automatically you're in 45 days into your supply chain, because that's how long it takes to ship by sea. If you're going to receive it by air, that's going to go faster. So a month to 3 months, and you just got to be a little patient, and that's why you always got to be continuously sourcing for your next product. So I try to do successive product life cycles. While I'm waiting for my batch of products to come in, I'm sourcing the next products. And even on your first product, when you've identified the product and the supplier sending it, you should not be just sitting there. You should be getting your branding going. You should be designing your page. You should be getting the copywriting going. You should do the photography. You can create a Facebook page for it. There's a lot of things that you can be doing while you're waiting for your product. Okay? All right. Mark says, are there any issues, concerns with IP when doing sales this way? So you mean, Mark, can you elaborate on that on the phone? What do you mean when you're doing sales this way? Are you on mute, Mark? Okay. When you come back, let me know what you mean by that, because I'm not sure what you mean by IP, if there's any issues with IP. Okay. You can't copy a product or brand name. You don't want to do that. Okay. Next question is, or comment, also from Mark. I am on video number 3. Hey, go ahead, Mark. Yeah. Yeah, I know there's a lag. Yeah, no, I understand IP, but my question for you is, what was your question about? What's the concern that you have with IP? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, got it. Yep. So let me repeat that for those watching. So Mark is asking, if you take that garlic press, okay, and you put your logo on it, is there a risk that your competitor or somebody else comes along and says, hey, that's my garlic press, and you just put your name on it? That's a good question. And the answer is no. If it's being sold by Alibaba, 99% of the time, there is not an issue, okay? You can put your brand name on it and go ahead and sell it. Now, if the Chinese suppliers, and I hate to say this, but the Chinese suppliers do steal products, meaning somebody can design a product here in the US, and I've had this happen to me, and you go out and do photography on your very unique product, and all of a sudden the pictures that you took with your photographer and a model, let's say it's a toothbrush and the model's brushing your teeth, and it's your product and your images. All of a sudden you'll see it on some Chinese site, and they do that. So I would say if you know that it's a branded type of product and there's some question about IP, just stay away. Again, there's millions of products to choose from, but 99% of the products that you see on Alibaba, and they say that it's available for OEM and for private label, you should not have a problem. Okay, let's see here. And Mark, you have another comment here. I am on video number 3. I've begun the process for applying for an LLC trademark. All of this is way new to me. I'm an imam. Okay, well, first of all, I'm humbled to have a imam join us, man. You'll inshallah keep me honest and keep me out of trouble. So it's a blessing to have an imam in our circle, inshallah. Okay, next question from Fiza. As far as product criteria questions that are coming up, I think maybe those asking, including me, aren't very clear on what parameters to use for evaluating product in the discovery phase, not necessarily ROI phase. Okay. Specifically, what are your recommendations about how many reviews is too much if a BSR is too high and therefore risky? Okay, so good question. And I'm going to say for a first product, I've seen sellers, if you guys remember the success webinar that I did with Abe Arabi, he jumped in kind of on the deep end. He jumped into a category that already had hundreds of reviews. And he's doing well. He's actually crushing it. He's doing really well. But my recommendation is don't don't try to jump into a product that has more than 100. And I'm using that term as a little bit arbitrary, because really it's a question of your comfort level and your risk level. You know, some people are going to be like, okay, a product with 200 reviews, I don't care, I'm jumping in, I will spend my way to the top. Okay, and what do I mean by that? I mean, if you are aggressive in your PPC, in your paid advertising, to be featured at the top of the listing, if you are aggressive with the number of reviews that you pay for, you can muscle your way to the top. Okay, but generally speaking, I would say if you see reviews in the hundreds, plural, then look for another product that has, you know, near 100 or less. I think that's a general guideline that I can offer you. Okay, my first product had less than 100. My competitors had less than 100 reviews, and I jumped in, and it's one of my best sellers now. All right. Mahmoud has a question here, or comment. BSR, reviews between X to Y, price, and other important criteria. Okay, so BSR, bestseller rank 25,000 or less. Okay, and again, guys, I'm giving you generalities here just because you're asking for some pointed questions, but it does vary. So for example, a product that is ranked 25,000 or less in the toys category is not the same as a product that is ranked 25,000 or less in the office categories. The one that is in the toys category is going to be selling much better at 25,000 than the one in the office category, just because of popularity. But I'm trying to give you some general guidelines, some general things to look for. So BSR, 25,000 or less. There's actually a table that I've seen which kind of lists the frequency and sales velocity by category, and I'll try to find it and post it. And that kind of shows you what the popularity is for the various categories and the rank. It's kind of useful. Reviews between X and Y. So I talked about that, Mahmoud. So try to look for competitors that have reviews of 100 or less. That's kind of a good place to start, I think. And then price. So price, I would say target your product between $20 to $30. Okay. And the reason why is because if you get a product that's $10 and you source it for 50 cents or $1, yeah, you're going to make some money, but not enough money, right? You want it to be significant. Once you've gotten a few different products, then you can start being a little more open. You know, I do have a product that's $10, but I didn't put all the effort into that product. I put all the effort into my first product, which was 30. Now I'm just accumulating products, so I don't mind the smaller products, but it's not a good bracket to start at. Don't start at $10. 20 to 30 should give you enough ROI on each unit to make some good money. And then any other important criteria. So yes, so I've talked about the interview, but basically it's the Jungle Scout attributes that you're looking at. You're looking at the number of reviewers. The number of competitors, right? I've talked about that. Anything that you see featured on the main category pages on Amazon, like when you go to toys or home and office or anything that's in like the top 1,000, stay away from. You know, dig down into like page 10 and beyond. Don't look at what's on the first page. When you start looking at a category, immediately jump into page 10, page 20, page 30. That's the area you want to focus on. You don't want to focus on the top 100 or even the top 1,000. Way too much competition there, okay? So those are some of the criteria, Mahmoud, that you were asking about. Next one here, next question from Surya Khan. How critical is it for an international seller to set up an LLC? Okay, very good question. So I've never had to do the international route, but I know we have a lot of international sellers here. So my suggestion, and there's a few international sellers in the group, my suggestion is two things. Somebody recommended Stripe, Atlas, which is Stripe is the PayPal or payment vendor system, but they launched a new service called Atlas. So if you go to stripe.com, they apparently have a full setup for international sellers where they will set you up with a company, with a bank account, with legal status and whatever else that you need. Honestly, I'm not an expert in that area, so I don't want to steer you the wrong way. The other thing, Soraya, is post it in the group. Others have already done this, and inshallah, maybe you'll get some advice from some of these other folks that are selling from overseas and how they've set up their organizations. Okay. Yusuf is asking, should we do a price comparison analysis across multiple e-commerce platforms? For example, a garlic peeler price may be cheaper on Walmart.com, and why would somebody buy from me on Amazon, which is priced higher? It's a very good question. So let me just head over to Facebook really quick to see if there's any questions there too. So, yeah. I'm laughing because that's one of the first questions that I asked. Why in the world am I going to pay a premium on Amazon versus Walmart or whatever else? Okay, so I'll give you a little story. About 2 months ago, I asked my wife, who does most of the shopping, I asked her to please find a shaver for me. Automatic shaver. And so she shopped around, and usually we just look on Amazon, and maybe we'll look on one or two portals. Well, in this particular instance, she found the shaver on Amazon as well as directly on the Panasonic site, and it was actually cheaper a little bit on the Panasonic site. I don't know, $5 cheaper or whatever. And she said, oh well, let's save $5 and just get it from Panasonic, and we did. The shaver got here. Somebody either stole it from our front door, or it got lost in transit, or UPS screwed it up, or something happened. I never got the shaver. And so then it was a chase. She had to call Panasonic like 5 times, and they asked her to fill out a form. And it was just a big hassle for me to get this ridiculous shaver. And guess what? Do you think I'm going to buy from Panasonic again? When I could easily just pick up the phone for Amazon and say, hey, Amazon, I didn't receive my product. And without even question, they will refund me, send me an exchange, whatever I want, okay? So to answer your question, why Amazon versus Walmart, even if Walmart has something cheaper? Amazon is an experience. Customer service is the #1 thing. They treat customers. They treat customers better than everybody else. They put customers as a priority on top of everybody else, even sellers. Okay, as sellers, you won't get the same treatment as you will as a customer, and so people expect to pay a little more, sometimes a lot more, for that customer service experience from Amazon, and that's proven time and time and time again. You can compare pricing on Amazon and Walmart and whatever else, and there's no comparison when it comes to the experience, and people are willing to pay for that. And you can see that in the sales velocity. There's ways to see how much that garlic press is selling for. Okay, so that's your long-winded answer on why people do pay more on Amazon versus Walmart.com. Okay, let's see. So Mark, does Google Hangouts keep a transcript of Q&A answers? Some answers are flying by. Okay, well, I apologize for that, Mark. There is a lot to cover. I believe this is a recorded webinar, and so I'm going to save this, and I will definitely make this available. And again, be interactive in the group. If there's something that I missed or you missed, ask in the group, because there's a lot of talent here and a lot of knowledge that people are learning every day, a lot of times more than me. All right, Fizza asks, not to mention the fast shipping. I order on Amazon all the time because of how quickly we get things. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, If you guys are not Prime members, you should be. Just because, I mean, exactly as you're saying, Fiza, I mean, we order and it's literally here like the next day or day after, and it's only getting faster, right? I don't know if some of you guys have seen Amazon Now, the service, which is launched here in Austin and a few cities, where I can order something and it's at my door in 2 hours. I mean, that's just insane. You know, I can order groceries from Amazon now. I can order ice cream, and they're going to deliver it to me in 2 hours. You know, so the drones are coming. I mean, it's a revolution. So absolutely, it's just a different experience. All right, Yusuf says, is there a way to give out points to buyers which they can accumulate and use for their purchases? Yeah, good question. I would say this is an advanced strategy. You can't do points on Amazon. However, some advanced sellers, they have their own websites for their products, and they do bring over customers from Amazon to their website. But you've got to do that very, very carefully, because you cannot solicit clients directly. And if you do, Amazon will kill your account. So this is not a beginner's strategy that I would entertain. Just save that until the future. When you get to the point that you have $50,000 worth of sales every month, then you want to start looking at, how do I start collecting all of my customers' data, because I can sell to them directly from my own website. There's companies that do data scraping, and they will take all your customer orders and extract customer names and give them to you. They'll do matching on all of the social sites and all that kind of stuff. Then you can take those names and you can do some direct solicitation. But again, there are strategies and ways to do that, but definitely not for beginners. One of the things that I do right now, that I've started actually, but this is after 6 months, I did not do this on day one, is I include a VIP card with my products. So when my customers receive my product, they get a little golden colored VIP, and on the front it says invitation only. And then when you flip it on the back, it says register your product for warranty, and also future rebates, and things like that. And I can share all of that with you. What that does is, when they do go and register, guess what? I've captured my customer, right? I can now take that customer who I was selling kitchen utensils to, and when I launch a new product like kitchen pots, I can email them and say, hey, I've got some kitchen pots, and because you've been a great customer before, I'm going to give you 20% off. So again, there's all of these strategies, but these are advanced, and these are things that I will teach, but I'm not going to teach them in the beginning, because right now our focus is just, let's get that first product. Don't worry about customer retention or saving customer data just yet. Okay, Fiza, can you explain a little bit about what is involved in becoming ungated for certain categories? Okay, I think I need to do a webinar just on that, because it's not difficult, but it is more than 2 minutes of conversation. So for those of you who, let me just step back and explain what that means, gated and ungated. When you first create an account with Amazon, Amazon lets you sell on a number of different categories right out of the gate. And so you can sell in toys, you can sell in general type of categories, office and kitchen, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a lot of categories that you're not allowed to sell on until you apply. And that's called being ungated, or getting ungated in those categories. So for example, Amazon has groceries, you can't sell on that, you have to apply. Amazon has jewelry, you can't sell on that. Industrial supplies, you can't sell on that, etc. And to be approved, there's a process, and they have forms on their site in Seller Central, but you have to submit receipts, and there's a few different things that you need to do on the receipt. I've been ungated in a lot of categories, and I've done it myself because I wanted to learn how to do it. There's services that do it for you if you want to pay a few $100s. But I think what I'll do, Fiza, and for those of you that are interested, is I will actually do a webinar on that, and I'll walk you through the whole thing step by step so that you should know how to do it. Even if you can pay for it, I don't think you should. I think you should learn how to do it at least for 1 or 2 categories. And then once you understand that, then if you want to pay for it, you know, that's good. My philosophy is always to learn it yourself. All right, Mark, hey, no problem, man. I got your message here. You got to bounce. So yeah, hopefully we'll have this recorded and then you can watch afterwards. And Mark has one more question. My question is, do we need to wait until all that paperwork is processed to get going? Or what is the jumping off point? If you're talking about the paperwork for your LLC, no, you can start selling today. I'm not sure which paperwork. Yeah, if that's the, oh yeah, no, you can get started today. You don't need anything. Yeah, you just go into Amazon Seller Central and hit apply for a pro account. You pay the $30, you connect your bank account, and you're off to the races. Simple as that. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely, my pleasure. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions here. Okay, we have a question from Burhan. What kind of insurance do we need for the products to save us from lawsuit if anything goes wrong while using the product? Yeah, we live in America, right? We have to be ever vigilant about those lawsuits. So anytime I get into accounting or legal questions, I always have to throw in that, guys, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant, nor do I want to be. Consult with your lawyer on this subject. However, I will give you the general advice on what other sellers, a lot of other sellers do, okay, including myself. So as you're starting out, you don't need insurance. Amazon, in their fine line terms of service, does ask that you get, you know, the responsibilities of all this stuff is on you, implying that you need the service. However, most new sellers don't get it. All right, and I didn't either. I'm actually looking into it now, and again, I'm about 6 months into this, or maybe 8 months into this. So now I'm beginning to get it. Why? Because I'm beginning to sell quite a bit of product out there. So that's increasing my liability if something does happen. But in the beginning, when you're, you know, a few dozen products a week, maybe, I wouldn't worry about it, okay? But again, please don't take my word for it. It's a conversation you should have with your attorney. It's also a question of what you're selling, okay? If you're selling silicone oven mitts, I mean, you know, oven mitts are oven mitts, right? You don't really need to provide or consider too much danger in that. Most people understand what an oven mitt is. Now, if I'm going to be selling glass light bulbs, you know, that might explode, yeah, then I'm going to be a little more cautious, and I'm going to think, oh, you know what? Maybe I don't want to wait. Maybe I want to go ahead and get insurance right out of the gate in case something happens. But most people are not selling things that are delicate like that, or, you know, sharp, pointy objects and things like that. So I wouldn't worry about it. I do think once you get into a volume and you're selling dozens of products every single day, then you want to get serious and look into insurance. And insurance will vary on a whole bunch of factors. I've heard quotes anywhere from 500 to several thousand. I've gotten a quote for about 1,000 for my business, and I'm shopping around. Somebody else told me of another provider. So I'll be happy to share my quote and my provider with whoever's interested. Okay, so it's 3:07. I think we'll maybe take another 5 minutes if we have any more questions and wrap it up. I'll try to keep this to an hour. I know we started a little late, so I'm gonna just take a quick look at Facebook and give you guys a quick opportunity. Okay, let's see here. Okay. All right, guys. I have another comment or question from Yusuf. And then guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. So if you have any final questions, feel free to type them into Facebook or on Google Hangout. So Yusuf B says, is there any regulation on selling homemade dry food products? Good question. So yes, anytime you are gonna get into food, electronics, industrial, in a few other areas, you may have regulations. So food, certainly. The FDA, if you're importing the food, if you're buying it here locally, then I think you're fine, okay? But if you're importing any kind of food, then you've got to make sure that it's FDA approved. Now, how do you find out? So there's information on the FDA website. You can go there and they list a bunch of categories that require FDA approval. And usually what that means is that the supplier or the manufacturer or the food processor or whoever you're getting this from, they need to be registered with the government of the USA FDA department, and they need to have a FDA number, which you provide to them when you import this, okay? Some of you may have noticed or seen that I posted that I'm going to be selling some dates. Well, that's already imported. I'm getting them from a distributor here. So in that case, I didn't need FDA. But if I was bringing them directly from Saudi for these dates, then yeah, I would have to make sure that that supplier from Saudi has an FDA number. Because if you don't, your stock is going to get stuck at the border. So the best way to find out is on the FDA website, or if you're going to be using a shipper, they will know, okay? So if you're using UPS or whoever is going to bring this for you, you have to tell them, this is what I'm bringing in, and do I need any clearances for this? They'll tell you. Okay, so Yusuf B is saying making food at home in the US. No, in that case, then I think you're fine. But what I would do again is before you get into a big effort, check with, spend some time on the FDA website. I think you're fine, but don't take my word for that. And then also check with Amazon, give them a call, their support number, and ask them as well. But I think you're fine if you're making it yourself. Because you're making food, if you're planning on some food, in your case, I would look at insurance, because if somebody gets sick eating your food, then it's a consumption, right? And you never know how people are going to react. I don't know what the food is, but I would consider that strongly. All right, and then Burhan, sure, absolutely, Yusuf. Burhan is asking, you mentioned in one of your videos to set up a separate bank account to connect with Amazon. Yeah, so I've set up a separate bank account. Here's the reason why. Amazon doesn't care what you connect, which bank account you use, which PayPal account you use. They don't care about any of that, okay? But I suggest that because it keeps your accounting organized. So if you have a business bank account, business checking or savings or whatever account, and you're doing other business in there, once you start getting to the point where you're going to have many transactions coming in and out of your bank account, tracking that, your accountant will thank you that it's separate, because otherwise it's going to become very difficult very fast on separating out your Amazon business with your other business in your bank account. And bank accounts don't cost anything, right? So highly recommend that. Yeah, no, it's okay. So Mark is asking, could that just be a regular checking account? Yeah. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. Just check with your bank and ask them, hey, I need a business checking account. I mean, again, there's no real cost to it. So they should be able to help you. Yeah, just so Mark is asking how to set that up. So I would just go into your bank, whoever you're currently doing your personal banking with, and just say, hey, I'm about to start a new business, and I'm going to be selling stuff on Amazon. I'd like to open up a separate dedicated account just for that. And what they're going to say is, okay, well, how do you want it, or what's your business name? At that point, you just tell them, hey, it's a DBA under my name, and they'll ask for your social security number or an EIN number, which you can also get for free. And that's it. That's really all there is to it. It's pretty straightforward. Absolutely, you're welcome. Okay, guys, I think that is all the questions. So, couple of housekeeping things. If you guys found this useful, I am happy to do this on a regular basis. I really want to try to make sure that, you know, I am here for you and I am providing as much value as possible and removing any obstacles that you have. So I'd like some feedback on this on Facebook. Let me know if this was useful. If not, you won't hurt my feelings. You know, the videos are fine, and we can continue doing that. But I think this is important. I think it's helpful. But again, I do need to hear from you because I want to make sure that I'm removing any obstacles and helping you get to your goals as fast as possible. Okay. So that's one thing. The other thing is, always ask your questions in the group first before you come to me. And I say that not because I don't want to answer your questions. I say that because sometimes, a lot of times, you will actually get your answer faster than coming to me. You know, it takes me a while to get to all the questions, and as you can imagine, I've got a lot of people, you know, asking. So I don't want to be rude or anything like that. But ask in the group. I'm not saying you should share your actual product. You know, don't share that. But let's get the group to a point where you can get those instant responses, okay? And we're having new students come in, guys. So you all have been great, you know, so far, and I really appreciate that. But let's support each other. Let's welcome the new students, and let's continue. We're going to have another video on Friday. I'm also going to begin webinars that go deeper into certain success stories to inspire and motivate you. I'm going to start doing webinars on tools and how to start using them. So there's a lot of things that are coming up. And so, inshallah, I'm really trying to build a solid community where everybody can benefit. So again, interact with the stuff that I put out there and put yourself out there. I think it would be so cool. And if I could force you guys to do this, I really would. A little video introducing yourself and put it out there. Okay, I think I said that in one of my videos. Here's why. Because business takes risk, and it's nice to be comfortable behind your desk at the office or at home, but you have to learn to start taking some risk. And here you're doing this in a private forum with a supportive group. So I really, really encourage each of you to try to make just a little video and put it in the group. Introduce yourself, where you're from, and what your goals are. And I guarantee you, you will get a lot out of that. And it will just speed up your process to start learning how to be an entrepreneur, take risks, and move to the next level, okay? All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. I will look for the recording for this and post this, and inshallah, let's keep selling. Have a good day.